Good afternoon, Britain. It's 22 minutes past 2 and the government have denied industrial abuses in the system of granting asylum.
Yes, this comes amid questioning over the role of conversions to Christianity to win asylum claims in the UK and comments from former Home Secretary Suella Braverman that there were abuses in the system.
Well, joining us now to discuss this is our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, these are some pretty damning allegations.
Yeah, pretty sobering assessment from former parish priest at St Cuthbert's Church in Darlington. He was there between 2018 and 2020, and Reverend Matthew Firth told the Home Affairs Committee today that he became very suspicious indeed that there was effectively a conveyor belt of asylum seekers being brought to his church looking for conversion to Christianity, and his suspicion being that that was in place really to try to aid and strengthen their applications for asylum. This is what he told the committee.
Week in, week out, significant groups of mainly Iranian and Syrian young male asylum seekers were being brought to me in sizable cohorts at a time sort of 6 or 7 people brought to me by people saying that these need baptism, these people need baptism.
And Reverend Firth said that what he did to try to get to grip with this issue was that he stressed to those that wanted to convert to Christianity that they would have to be fully involved in the church, that they would have to come over many months and be part of church life. He said when he did that, applications effectively fell off a cliff edge and all but disappeared. Now, we also heard from some other leading faith leaders within Christianity in the UK, including the Bishop of Chelmsford. She disputed these claims of a conveyor belt of asylum seeker baptisms. This is what she told the committee.
You know, our churches respond to local need, however it presents itself. That's a totally separate issue to saying that we are kind of quickly and easily and freely baptising large numbers in order to scam the asylum process. I think that the notion that the Church of England is currently being a conveyor belt for baptisms in order for people to gain their asylum status, I don't recognise that comment.
Well, the Bishop also said that effectively one of the reasons why there might be an increase in those asylum seekers that are seeking to convert to Christianity may well be because of the increasingly hostile environment towards asylum seekers. And she said that the church gave a warm welcome to asylum seekers, and that, she claims, might be one of the reasons behind it. We also heard from the Immigration Minister, Tom Pursglove, who also said that he didn't recognise assertions made by the former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, recently, when she said that these baptisms from the Muslim faith to Christianity were taking place on an industrial scale. He said he didn't recognise that. However, astonishingly, he said that they have no accurate records of how many asylum seekers have converted to Christianity.
We are actively working to improve the data set that we have around this issue. So one of the challenges is that the legacy IT systems that we have been working on do not capture data in this area very effectively. The Home Secretary and I have been very clear in asking officials that we want to see greater itemised data in that area, and we are currently working through publication around that. And I think that you're absolutely right to touch on the data point. I think all of us want to see an improvement in terms of the quality of data that we have around decision making in the asylum space.
Well, Mark, it's clearly a big scandal. And what does the government do? They've got this evidence that they've been given by people who actually know and have witnessed and have been there when there's been these baptisms and calls upon them to baptise people who have had their asylum claims failed. What does the government do to crack down on this?
Well, it's astonishing, isn't it, that a former Home Secretary in the post until relatively recently has said that she believed that these asylum seeker conversions to Christianity were happening on an industrial scale. We've got evidence such as the Baby Stockholm accommodation barge for asylum seekers in Portland, where it's being reported that 40 of those asylum seekers are currently in the process of trying to convert to Christianity. Faced with that, though, the government is saying it doesn't recognise that there is this industrial scale conversion to Christianity. And it also, to me, seems really quite unbelievable that the government does not have a handle. OK, legacy cases, maybe one thing, but currently there are hundreds of thousands of people still within the asylum system waiting on a decision. Surely there can be checks made to determine how many of those individuals have actually
As the Migration Minister Tom Pursglove was saying, they simply don't have the data as things stand. But Mark White, thank you very much for that. Let's get more now with Michael Phillips from the Christian Legal Centre. Michael, does this sound like a situation you're familiar with? Just a widespread problem across the country of, frankly, fake conversions?
Yeah, it is a problem, and I think it's probably a far bigger problem than, in fact, we're aware of, because at this point in time, a lot of the evidence which is going to be given to the House of Commons is going to be from the Church of England, maybe from the Roman Catholic Church, but there's a whole raft of non-conformist churches as well where this issue is also happening. And this is something as well that I've seen myself. Even I went into a barber shop the other day, two men in there were both Iranian, and they said, yes, I used to be a Christian, but then I got my asylum, is what I was told. So I think it is a real problem. And I think part of the problem is this, is that a lot of the people who are giving out these baptisms, like Sweeties, aren't really perhaps Christians themselves. They don't know really what it is to be a Christian. For them, Christianity is just a social club now. But in fact, what I have seen when people have genuinely been converted is that there's a real desire to share their faith amongst those people where they are from, and maybe even go back to their countries as a result. And that is what Christianity is about. It's about a changed heart, such that people are prepared to give their lives for their new faith. And these guys are not prepared to do that, I'm afraid.
Is this not a problem with the law as it is? Should conversions, once you're in this country, after you've already put in an asylum claim and had it rejected, should conversions to Christianity just not even be on the agenda? They shouldn't be part of the decision process. That shouldn't be, a reason to accept someone.
I don't think it's really a problem with the law, from what I have seen. I think what the real problem is that very often it is the lack of good evidence. So if there is real evidence that somebody has truly converted to Christianity, you will see it in the way that they behave. Jesus said, "You will know my disciples by their fruit. A good tree bears good fruit." And so you will see them going out, doing evangelism, doing good works, and you will see that they will want to do it in the face of persecution, very often from those people who are in this country also seeking asylum. And I think that if there's some good evidence from maybe their pastor or vicar, and like the chap was saying, who was giving evidence to the select committee, he puts them on a course, and then at the end of the course, then they can be baptised. But a lot of these people are not prepared to wait, and they'll just go along to someone else, another church, where really they're just handing these conversion certificates out like Sweeties.
But we know that the Church of England in particular, but many churches across this land, are seeing dwindling congregations. To some extent, is it perhaps some wishful thinking that suddenly some of these churches see their congregations swell for a couple of weeks and then people ask to convert? I mean, potentially, is this what's going on here?
That is what's happening. I think a lot of people don't, so those vicars in question, they don't really understand what it's like to become a Christian in places like Iran. And the irony is that I've sometimes represented people who have genuinely converted, and sometimes they run up in problems at the Home Office and before the tribunals. You say, no, you're not a true convert because you can't recite all the apostles, or you can't name all the books in the Bible and things like that. And they have these ridiculous tests. No, the real test is, are you changed in your heart, and is that manifesting in your everyday life? And these guys, maybe they've gone through the waters of baptism and they've got a slightly gullible priest to sign them off, but really they haven't been changed. And what really needs to happen is there needs to be a process whereby these people say, no, I fully reject my former way of life, I fully reject my former religion, and prepared to say that publicly. Jesus was baptized publicly, and these people need to publicly proclaim their new faith and their rejection of the old. And I think if we did that, we would definitely see the numbers drop off very significantly.
Really, really interesting point there. Well, Michael Phillips, thank you very much for joining us from the Christian Legal Centre, of course. It does remind me of one of these cases that was reported in the Telegraph of someone claiming asylum because they said they were gay. And then they were asked at one of these meetings to say what the reason for them claiming asylum was. And they physically couldn't say it. It wouldn't come out of their mouth. They were so disgusted by the prospect. At that point, they changed their story. Yeah.
I think there's a mixture of naivety on the part of the church, but also ideological coming from the top.